Friends, we'll begin our service momentarily. So if we could ask those who are serving as pallbearers to please make their way to the back of the funeral coach. I know friends want to offer love and support, but we'll have opportunities at the end of the service and throughout the Shiva period to do that. So if we could ask again our pallbearers to just make their way to the back of the funeral coach, and I'll invite those who'd like to gather in, maybe take advantage of the shade, and we'll begin in just a moment or two. An interpretive reading of the 91st Psalm. For the Lord's faithful, there are no traps and there are no plagues. The imprisoned escape captivity, the wounded bandage injury, the stricken resist despondency, the ailing battle infirmity. In one lifetime alone, the uninspired may die 1,000 deaths, but the faithful discover 10,000 ways to live. Though they meet with failure and sorrow, they travel like angels, skimming over the rockiest roads, maintaining direction in the face of detour, making the stops without slowing the pace. Their devotion to others is their deliverance by God. They believe in life's goodness, for they bring God's goodness to life. When we call on God, God answers. God answers by being with us in distress. God answers by rescuing us from despair. God answers by honoring us for standing firm. May we all live to a ripe old age. But however long we live, may we witness God's ultimate salvation and the countless good deeds rendered by all who have faith. The psalmist writes, Ki rachem al banim richam Adonai yireav, Ki hu yadai yitzrenu zachur ki afar anachnu. Anosh kechatzir yamav, tzitz asadeh kein yatzitz, Ki yirach av rabbo ve'inenu velo yakirenu od mekomo. Chesed Adonai be'olam be'olam yireav v'tzikato. As a parent has compassion for his children, the Lord has compassion for those who show reverence. God knows how we are fashioned. God remembers that we are dust. The days of mortals are like grass. We flourish as the flowers of the field. The wind passes over them and they are no more. No one can recognize where they grew. But the Lord's compassion is everlasting. God's kindness to children's children endures to all the reverent ones, age after age, unchanging. Thousands of years ago, in the Wisdom of Solomon, a book that is preserved in the Apocrypha, the external writings to the Hebrew Bible. We read this: "A good person, though taken from us too soon, will rest in peace. For honor in old age does not come from length of life. Honor does not come from length of years. Understanding is in its own way like the gray hair of humanity. A life lived well is ripeness of age. Great goodness in limited years is like living for many years. So a good person, taken from us too soon, will rest in peace. Let us then, with peace of mind, let that good soul rest." For countless generations, Jewish people have found words of comfort in the 23rd Psalm. Remind us of God as a shepherd. And today, when we have no idea of where we're going, we look to God as a shepherd to get us through this place of darkness, this place of shadow, this valley of death. And we are reminded that every valley is defined by the hills which surround it. We place our trust in a God who will take us to a place of stillness and green pastures. Not today, but perhaps tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, then the day after. Kazan Holzer will chant the words of Psalm 23.
Adonai ro'i lo echzar binat sheyar bitzeni al mehi menuchot yenaleni nafshi shoveh yancheini v'mak letzedek yancheini v'mak letzedek leman shemo kal ki elech beged salmavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha mishatecha ema yenachamuni ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged etzorerai Dishantam Hashem Roshi Kosirevaya Haftova Chesed Yedefoni Koyemei Chayai Vishavati Bevet Adonai Leorech The Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Zot Tefilati, this is my prayer. Poem by the Israeli writer Hillel Bavli. This is my prayer to you, my God, that my spirit not wither and shrivel in its thirst for you, and lose the dew with which you sprinkled it when I was young. May my heart be open to every broken soul, to orphan life, to every stumbler wandering unknown and groping in the shadow. Bless my eyes, purify me to see humanity's beauty rise in the world, and the glory of my people in its redeemed land, spreading its fragrance over all the earth. Deepen and broaden my senses to absorb a fresh, green, flowering world, to take from it the secret of blossoming in silence. Grant strength to yield fine fruits, the essence of my life, steeped in my very being, without expectation of reward. And when my time comes, whenever that may be, let me slip into the night, demanding nothing, God, of humanity or of you. Ezehu mechubad, mechabed et habriot, who is honored, one who honors, loves, and cares for other human beings. Rabbi Abraham Joshua once said, in commenting on this, the deepest wisdom a person can attain is to know that his destiny is to aid and to serve others. This time I'd like to ask Mark and Iris to share words of loving memory about Kenny.
We're going to let Iris lead off. If she stumbles, then I'll attempt, and if I stumble, then we're going to hand it off to the rabbi. So just bear with us, please. Go ahead, dear.
Kenny was truly blessed, beginning with being named for my Papa Kenneth, one of the finest human beings I have known. From the moment he was born, Kenny brought us indescribable joy. Kenny was blessed with Alyssa, who adored him. He was blessed with friends who were with him all his life, many of whom are here today. Kenny was blessed with his grandma and papa and his nana, and he cherished them all. He was blessed with a day school education and a family who kept traditions. And when he lived his most trying and challenging years, and there were many, he was blessed with a family who never gave up on helping him become the person he was meant to be. And eventually, as Mark said the other day, like in The Wizard of Oz, Kenny's life went from black and white to color. He was blessed with Ashley, and then came Jonah, one of the brightest lights of our lives. Kenny was blessed with a transformation that turned him into one of the finest people we have ever known, just like our papas. He dedicated himself to Jonah, and as daddies go, he was the champion. He repaired himself, and he began to repair the world. When he became blessed with Daniela, he was the happiest man alive. And when he became blessed with a job in a substance abuse facility, he felt his true worth and delighted in it. It is now up to us to live up to his example. He set the bar high. We have had so much fun these last few years and really treasured each other. Kenny delighted in making us laugh. Jonah, we need you to be our coach as we carry on all the good things Daddy brought to this world. We will carry him in our hearts for the rest of our lives. We were truly blessed to have had Kenny.
Alyssa?
Oh gosh. Okay. I don't know how or where to begin, and it goes without saying that this is extremely difficult. But I hope Kenny is listening because this is what I want him to hear. We are all here right now because we all know how amazing Kenny was, and we all love him. But everyone's relationship with him is different, and my relationship to him was being his only sister, and he was my only brother, and he was the best brother. My relationship with him was supposed to be the longest relationship in my life. Losing Kenny is losing a part of me and a part of my identity. I am no longer a sister, and I don't know how to be an only child to my parents. It's really hard for me to try to put anything into words, but I can say with tremendous confidence that above all else, I love Kenny. I love him so much. I am always going to love him so much, and I am always going to think the world of him. He had such a big personality and presence, and I feel his absence to my core. There is a hole in my heart and a hole in the world, and I miss him terribly. It's impossible to express my thoughts and feelings, but there's a quote that sums it all up. An immeasurable tragedy. I will love you for the rest of my life, and you will not be here for any of it. I will keep Kenny's memory in the hole his absence has left in my heart, and I will make sure that he will not ever be forgotten. I know he would want us to celebrate his life, and we should all live by his example. Kenny, if you're listening, I thank you for everything you were to and for me, and for everything you gave. I love you, I love you, I love you.
I can't say if it's synchronicity, but in this week's Torah portion, there's a verse that jumped off the page. It begins with the words, Hanistarot Adonai Eloheinu. The hidden things, the mysteries belong to God. We're desperate for answers to life's unfairness. And our understanding is so limited. And there is little comfort in the platitudes and the bromides that well-intentioned people offer as explanations of tragic loss. Maybe that's why, in the presence of a mourner, our tradition counsels us to begin with silence. Confronted by death, traditionally we recite the words in the book of Job. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yishem Adonai mevorach. The Lord has given, the Lord has taken away. Praise be the name of the Lord. We don't praise God's name in an hour of sorrow as an expression of gratitude, but rather an acknowledgement that we bow before the mysteries we can scarcely fathom. And today, as we think about Kenny's passing, death of such a young, vital, and caring person, we're dumbfounded by the enormity of Mark's and Iris's grief, Kenny's son Jonah, his partner Danielle, sister Alyssa, his grandmother Sylvia, who has witnessed so many tragedies in recent years, his closest friends, and beloved extended family. But friends, that's only half the verse. Hanistarot Adonai Eloheinu, the mysteries belong to God. Because even if it's beyond our capacity to understand why, we possess the ability to say how a person's life has affected our own. Even more, we have a responsibility to say how a person's life has touched our own. Because the second half of that verse continues, V'haniglot lanu levanenu ad olam. That which is revealed, that which is in plain sight, belongs to us and our children forever. The mysteries are for God, but that which is knowable, the ways in which our loved ones touch us, these are ours. They belong to us. And we are duty-bound to recall them and cherish them, to recount them and preserve the memories that are left to us. If you were to look at this verse in a Torah scroll, you would also see something strange. Because over the words, there is a series of seemingly superfluous dots. They're over the words, Lanu levanenu, us and our children. They're not vowels, they're not trope notes, they're just dots. They have no grammatical role. And in fact, the truth is, we have no idea why Torah scribes are required to dot these particular words. But Rabbi Meir Yechiel Hallstock, the Ostrovitzer Rebbe, beautifully suggests that the dots over the letters are meant to symbolize a person's righteous deeds. The mysteries belong to God, but a person's righteousness, his good deeds, are revealed to us and our children. And in the scroll of our days, each dot is a story, an anecdote, a smile, a memory inscribed by the quill of another person's life who has made an impact on us. Kenny left many such dots in the scrolls of your lives. Our sacred task is to connect those dots and to remember that together they form a picture, a message. Kenny had a happy childhood. He was born gregarious. Even as a preschooler, he was in demand as a popular playdate. You had to get on the list. He was friendly, outgoing, and smiley. He just liked other kids, just like people. He made people laugh without even trying. Mark and Iris sent him to Camp Shalom outside of Ocala and Blue Star. He did the things that kids in our community do, like participating in our local scouting troops' Pinewood Derby, played flag football. He loved sports. 3 years older than Sister Alyssa, he was a typical big brother. And while he might tease her at home, he would defend and protect her in public. He had loving grandparents, and Walter, and Sylvia. I know he had a very warm and wonderful relationship with his grandmother Marilyn of blessed memory. In the tough years that followed, Mark and Iris, you were there. At times when you felt powerless, but only because you were. We want to protect our kids from everything bad in the world. Parenting teaches us the ultimate lesson of humility. Our power ends at the point our children's will begins. That doesn't mean we stop worrying. We never stop worrying. You did what good parents do. And I know that ultimately Kenny realized this, and he was grateful to you both. He took so much pleasure in your pride and joy in him these last few years. And in dark moments, please remember that gift that Kenny gave you and how much it meant to him. Yes, Kenny did struggle with his own demons. For far too long in the Jewish community, we have closed our eyes or judged individuals for suffering from a disease that is no less a disease than cancer and diabetes. This is part of Kenny's story. We must acknowledge it because he would have acknowledged it and did. And because the inspiring and beautiful quality of his courage was tempered in the forge of despair and the furnace of suffering. The sage Ben Zoma reminds us, Ezehu Gibur HaKoveshet Yitro, who is mighty? One who wrestles with his demons and conquers them. Or in a little bit of a different vein, the Kotzker Rebbe, more than a century and a half ago, wisely noted, Ein davar shalem yoter milev shavur. There's nothing more whole than a broken heart. Kenny had a whole heart, a big heart, because it was broken. And in the cracks, seeds took root and grew into a beautiful flowering garden. Jonah, you know how much your dad loved you. You gave him the best reasons to be the great father that he was. You told me a story yesterday about how you and your dad jumped off this big ledge, maybe 10 feet, maybe 100 feet. We'll stick with 10. Into the cold water of a North Carolina river. At first, your dad didn't want to, but you inspired him. Just as he then inspired you to follow with a jump from that ledge. He was enthusiastic about being your dad. It was the role he relished most and loved, whether cheering you on at flag football games or just hanging out. It may seem strange, Jonah, but you taught your dad a lot about life. As you get older and think about him, the stories you hear in your memories will return that favor, and it will teach you a lot about life and about what's most important in life. Daniela, you and Kenny were soulmates. I can't begin to imagine how keenly you feel the loss, not just of what you had, but the years to come that you would have spent together. It is not much of a comfort, but I think you would say that a rose would be no more beautiful if it bloomed longer. And the perfection you shared in a short time is still perfection. It is a gift that will always be worthy of gratitude. And you loved more deeply than many do over the course of a lifetime. Ashley, I've been a rabbi for the better part of 30 years. And rarely, if ever, have I seen a more cooperative partnership of exes and parenting than the one you and Kenny shared. That you shared with Mike and Daniela. And the four of you created Team Jonah. And in that process, you wove a seamless web of love, friendship, and mutual support. It may have been about Jonah, but in the end it was also about you coming together. Kenny's selfless love for Jonah and his warm and positive personality, it played a pivotal role in that unique relationship y'all have created. But I know he was so grateful to be your teammate. And though it could be said that Kenny's jersey will be retired, or maybe jerseys, because I know he had a lot, his spirit and love will be right beside you as Team Jonah continues its winning streak. The sage Shammai once said, Heve mikabel kol ha'adam b'sever panim yafot, greet every person with a cheerful countenance. That was Kenny. If he greeted you with, what's up, my guy, chances are you would smile. He loved to laugh. He loved to make others laugh, just, again, by being himself. To know him was to know someone who loved to eat, especially in restaurants. If you needed a recommendation, he was as good, maybe better than Open Table. He loved to wear cologne. We're not talking a little spritz. Probably should have bought stock in Chanel or some other perfume company. As I already said, he loved to collect jerseys, and he enjoyed finding a matching jersey always to wear with you, Jonah. Kenny had that rare gift to live with enthusiasm, treating each day as a present from God, because he had come to learn that every day is just that, a gift. That's why we call it the present. But Kenny's greatest legacy was his genuine concern for others, his calling, the bigness of his heart. In counseling others, he not only drew upon his own experiences, but he combined that with his being a good neshama. He was a good soul. Long before he opted to get into the counseling business, he genuinely and deeply cared about people. In a text he sent shortly before the tragic accident that took his life, he told his friend Salima, "I absolutely love it." He's talking about counseling. "It's such a great experience, helping people really make a difference, even with the crazy chaos. I love it." During these Yamim Noraim, these days of awe when God challenges us to reflect on how we can transform our moral failures into their opposite, Kenny reminds us of the power of the human spirit when we allow God to help us. We can climb any mountain. We can't control what happens to us, but we are captains of our own destiny when it comes to what we do with the hand dealt us. When Kenny spoke at his grandmother Marilyn's funeral 5 years ago, he related a story he heard from his grandmother. He was too young to remember it, but Marilyn told this to him. It happened one day while she was visiting the family in Houston, and she took Kenny out for a walk in his stroller when, without any warning, a little bird landed on her, right on her shoulder, and perched there, which she got a real kick out of. He then continued in his remarks, "I like to think that little bird was one of her loved ones from the past, just checking in. We never lose the people we love, even in death. They continue to participate in every act, thought, and decision we make. From now on," said Kenny, "when I go outside, I will slow down and look at the birds, knowing my Nana is watching over me." Kenny's words speak no less to all of us. He is gone, but not lost. He no longer walks the earth, but his soul lives eternally. His love will watch over you, and his life, his courage, his caring, his smile, they will inspire you. They will guide you. Yehi Zichro Baruch, Kalman Shmuel, Ben Mordechai Baruch V'Shoshana. Your memory, Kenny, is a blessing for so many. Always. Always. Amen. Chazan Holzer will chant the Almalei Rachamim, the memorial prayer in Kenny's memory.
Almalei Rachamim, Shochein B'Meramim, Ametzei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanafei HaShechina, B'malot Kedoshim Toharim, Zohar Rakia Mazirim, and Nishmat Kalman Shmuel Ben Mordechai Baruch V'Shoshana שלח לעולמו. בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו. הנ"ל בעל רחמים, הסירר מסדר כנפיך לעולמים, וצירור בצירור החיים נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure. To the soul of our beloved Kenny Kraemer, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And we say, Amen.
Al Mikomo Yavo Vishalom. Kalman Shmuel ben Baruch ben Mordechai Baruch V'Shoshana. Unto his resting place, may he come in peace. each and every human being created in God's image is priceless. So much so that when a person in the Jewish community dies, it becomes our responsibility to drop everything and to attend to the dead. We call this mitzvah chesed shel emet, an act of true kindness. The person for whom it's performed can never even express so much as a thanks. We do it selflessly. When we participate in the burial, a member of our own community, part of our family, because it is not a task we can vicariously assign to well-intentioned strangers. Those who bring to it religious reverence, solemnity, caring, and love are the ones best able to perform this task. It is hard. We symbolize that by, for the first few spadefuls of earth that we place in the grave, we turn the shovel upside down. We know we have the responsibility to perform this mitzvah, this precept, but it's not one we do lightly or easily. In a moment, I will call on members of Kenny's family to be the first to participate in this righteous act, followed by everyone who is present. We're blessed with so many who have come to show their respect. Which means that at some point, once we have covered the casket so it is no longer visible inside the liner, we will stop, because otherwise it will be impossible later on to complete the burial following the placement of the cover to the liner. So for those who may not have the opportunity to perform this mitzvah in the next few minutes, there will be a chance, and I encourage people to stay once the cover is placed, to complete and to fulfill the precept of kfura. Again, the first few spadefuls, we use the shovel upside down. We may turn it right side up thereafter. And after we've added some additional earth, we return the shovel to the pile of earth and allow the person behind us to perform this mitzvah in the same way. We also have a small trowel for those who may be more comfortable with that. We'll help you, Sadia. During the kfura, the burial, Chazan Holzer will chant a prayer we call Tziduk Hadin. It is a mosaic of verses that remind us that even at this difficult moment, we affirm our faith in God's providence, a God who not only has made death a part of our life, but who also heals, restores, creates, a God who can even bring life to the dead. So at this time I'd like to call on Kenny's family to perform this mitzvah, followed by others who are here. We have 2 shovels, and so we can form 2 lines on either side of the grave.
עצור תמים הפועלו, כי כל דרכיו משפט. אל אמונה ואין אבל צדיק וישר הוא. עצור תמים הכל פועל, מי אמר לו מה תפעל? השני במצב מעל, ממית מחיה מוריד שאול ויעל. עצור תמים בכל מעשה, מי אמר לו מה תעשה? האומר ועושה חסד חילנו תעשה, וזכון הנקד כסה הקשיב ועשה. צנים בכל דרכיו עצור תמים, ערך אפיים ומלא רחמים, חמל נא מחוס נא לאבות ובנים, כי לך אדון הסליחות והרחמים. צניגת אדוני להעמיד לחיות, אשר בידך פקדון כרוחות, חלילה לך זיכרוננו למחות, ועונינך ברחמים עלינו בכוחות, כי לך אדון הרחמים והסליחות. אדם עם השנה יעול השנים יחיה, מה יתרונו כלא היה יהיה, ברוך דיין האמת מרית ומחיה. ברוך הוא כי מתינו משודד הכל בעינו, ומשלם לאדם חשברו בדינו, וכל לשמו הודיה ייתנו. ידענו אדוני כי צרי משפטך, ניצב מנוברך ונזכה בשופטך, ואין אחר מילת שופטך. צדיק אתה אדוני וישר משפטך. יין אמת שבצדק ואמת, בורות דיין האמת, שכל משפטיו צדק ואמת. נפש כל חי בידך, צרים על ימינך, רחם על פליצת צאן ידך, ותאמר למלאך הרב ידך. גדול עצה ורב עלי אשר נגע בכוחות, על כל דרכי בני אדם, לעתיד ישכר רחב, וכפרים על הלמה, להגיק ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו. אדוני נתן ואדוני לקח, יהי שם אדוני מבורך. מבורך ומכפר עוון ולא ישחית, וירבה להשיב אפו ולא יאיר הכל חמתו.
We have no way to define God. Or perhaps we have countless ways. And every attempt to call God by a different name is at best an exercise in metaphor and poetic language. Sometimes when we are in need of leadership, we think of God as Malkeinu, as a sovereign. We want intimacy and closeness. God is Avinu, a father, a parent. And we see the marvels of nature and the universe, and we sense that God lives in the creativity and the beauty all around us. We think of the Shekhinah, God's indwelling presence. And when we need strength, as on a day like today, we think of God as Hatzur, as a rock. The image of God is stable, strong, unbreakable. We know skyscrapers are built on firm foundations in order to allow them to sway in the wind. And we know that we can weather the storm, no matter how difficult. For Hatzur, God is our rock, will be our support in the days ahead. Hatzur Tamim, the perfect rock, whose work we perceive reveals a faithful God, true, upright, and honest. The rock is perfect in every way. We dare not ask God to account for any deed. God rules below and on high, causing death, creating life, bringing down to the grave, but raising up as well. Hatzur Tamim, the perfect rock, is inscrutable. We dare not question, Ma Taseh, what have you done? God's every word comes to be, whether immediately or in time. Hatzur Tamim, the rock, is unfathomable, but just and patient, and Malei Rachamim, filled with compassion. God, have pity on parents and children. Ki lecha Adon haslichot v'harachamim, as forgiveness and compassion are yours. You are just, Adonai, in the giving and in the taking. In your hand is the essence of all spirit. You would never permit the impact we made to fade. So consider us keenly. For you are the master of compassion and forgiveness. Adam min ben shana yiyeh kelo haya yiyeh. We're immortal to live just a single year, or even 1,000 years. It would not seem enough. Baruch Dayan ha'emet, we therefore praise the judge of truth, who takes, but who also gives life. We know, O Lord, that your discretion is beyond us. We know that your word is good, but your judgments at times, they puzzle us. And though we may brood over harsh realities, Sadiq Atah, we place our trust in your righteousness, and we accept our lot, our loss, and the love that remains with us forever. Rachem al pleitat son yadecha, have mercy on us, and strengthen us to maintain our courage at this time of sorrow. Adonai Natan, the Lord has given. Vadonai lakach, and the Lord has taken. Yishem Adonai mevorach. Praise be the name of the Lord.
That's got to be right in front of him. I got this one, Joe. That would work.
Friends, having covered the casket with a layer of earth so it is no longer visible, will enable us to recite Kaddish. For those who would, again, like to stay behind once the vault cover has been placed to add additional earth to the grave, you're invited and encouraged, especially if you did not have a chance to perform this mitzvah earlier. Kaddish is not a prayer of despair, but rather one of comfort. It is recited in the presence of a minyan, prayer quorum, because we find comfort in community. Those who grieve and those who wish to offer their support join in a dialogue of praise, a give and take, in which the sentiments of the last line of the Kaddish, asking God to establish the peace of heaven here on earth, can find fruition through our love and embrace of those who are broken, those whose lives are fragmented, in responding to them, both in the words of Kaddish, but in our deeds. We can bring the peace that is on high, here, below, on earth. I'd like to ask members of Kenny's family to rise for Kadishat Chadata, the burial Kaddish, and for those familiar with the responses to answer in the appropriate places. Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah B'Alma Dihu Atid Le'itcharata Ula'achaya'a Meitaya Ulayasaka Yaton L'chaye Alma Ulamivne Karta Di Yerushalem Ulashachlala Hechle Begava Ulmekar Pulchana Nuchra'a Min Ar'a Atava Pulchana Di Shemaya La'atre V'yamlich Kucha Brichu B'malchute B'kare Chayechon U'v'yomechon U'v'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala U'v'zman Kariv V'yimeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Le'omei Omaya Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitbar Brichu Shirata Tushbechata Nechamata Amen V'chayim Tovim Amen Amen. A few brief announcements. Those who wish to memorialize Kenny through a gift of tzedakah, through charitable donation, please stay tuned in the coming days. There will be an announcement about where donations may be sent. Shiva will begin immediately following. There is a minyan this evening and tomorrow evening at the home of Iris and Mark Kraemer, 2651 Forest Circle. And that will be at 6 p.m. 6 o'clock this evening, 6 o'clock tomorrow. Those who'd like to pay a Shiva visit are asked to come at 4 p.m. or later. And the period of Shiva is truncated because it ends with the advent of Rosh Hashanah on Sunday. So again, today after 4 o'clock, tomorrow after 4 o'clock, and minyan at 6 p.m., the home of Mark and Iris Kraemer. I'll ask for everyone to please, two parallel lines leading away from the grave. Members of Kenny's family will pass between, and as they walk in between you, their love and support flanking them. You may offer your own words of condolence and comfort, your own tanchumim at this difficult time. V'yashov ha'afar al ha'aretz kishahaya v'aruach teshuv ela Elohim asher nitana. The dust returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May Kenny's soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal. Send comfort, Adonai, to those who mourn. Grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. To you, Mark and Iris, to Alyssa, to Jonah, to Sylvia, to Daniela, to Ashley and Mike, all the members of your family, to Uncle Rick and Aunt Linda and Uncle Howard, to Kenny's beloved cousins, Amy, Sarah and Dave and James, and all the members of our community, all of Kenny's friends. Hamakom Yenachem Etchem B'toch She'ar V'Elei Tzion V'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Amen. This concludes our service.